foremost, before I'm a politician or a business owner, I'm a father and a husband, an uncle and a friend, a brother to my sister. I've got a couple of family members here. If you open, by the way, if you open that little flyer thing that my staff handed out, that's that thing, the one that looks about the size of a checkbook. On the inside of that is my wife Chrissy and my daughter, my 3.5-year-old daughter Madeline. I am a president of an adult Sunday school class of kiddos Madeline's age of their parents. And Madeline and Chrissy aren't here with us today because they're at the pizza party that my office made it sound like I have an engagement like with the Secretary of State. But what I have actually that I've got to get to pretty, when my time is up, is I've got to get to my wife and my daughter and the folks there at that commitment that I've got to those folks. I've also got with me today my now 12-year-old niece, who is Arabella, stand up for a second. Show them that beautiful girl. Presidential scholar at J.L. Long Middle School and a cheerleader. You can sit down there. I brought with me my little mama, Joanne Jenkins, who is a Democratic institution. Stand up, Mama. SBC 1 for 22, which is the county south of here down to Waco. And she is either the longest or the second longest serving member of the SDC currently. She says Ken Moberg may have 6 months on her, but I said, Ken's not going to be here today, Mama, and so you can be the longest serving person. So I've got, I'm proud to have that family. I'm a family person and I care about families, and I'll be concerned about the safety, the security, and the opportunity of your family if elected a county judge. I'll talk to you a little bit about my community involvement, just so you kind of know where my heart is on that. I helped found a homeless shelter and carried the beeper for that before it had staff to put people up at night. So I care very much about the plight of the homeless, and that will be a priority of mine. I care very much about the plight of all those folks who are falling in the cracks. Here in Dallas, for instance, we have, which is kind of pathetic, we have 0 orphanage beds. And what that means is when our judges have to take kids away from their parents, we beg for a bed in El Paso, and we beg for another bed in Amarillo, and that brother and sister don't see each other until they're 18 years old sometimes. And so those are issues I care very much about, and things that drove me to want to run for this office. You won't have to worry about my desire to serve those folks, because you can look at my past. Next week, I'll be dedicating a Habitat for Humanity house in South Dallas that me and 10 other people are funding for our friend Fred Barron, who passed away last year, and that my campaign staff and friends and I went out and helped build. So my heart is there on the community service. I am active on charities and boards and things such as that. As a business person, some of you may know me from law business. I actually have 2 businesses. I have a law firm. I have 2 other lawyers that work with me. We have 12 staff folks. I started off doing the general practice, then I did mostly a personal injury and motor protection, which some of y'all have seen me from that practice. I also represent small businesses and a variety of people in commercial and civil disputes. Don't do any criminal work or any family law work. I also founded in the mid-90s a company called Brown Dental Health Services with my buddy Steve Brown from college. It is the largest provider in Texas of dental health services to elderly folks on Medicaid in nursing homes. What we saw, what Steve and I saw, is that people in nursing homes were being medically underserved in the mid-90s, and so with the help of our then Governor, Ann Richards, we started that company. By the way, and I'll get to my little stump speech here in a minute, but you'll hear me as I talk a lot about economic development. And I actually learned that from having to make my programs, and I do care very much about economic development, but in making sure that our program to serve those thousands of people that I cared about in those nursing homes survived. When George Bush became governor, I learned that when you want health care for people that have no power, you talk about how it saves the government money. When you want to get mental health care for people that aren't getting the mental health care that you need. You talk about how that ultimately will save folks money. That's how you get the will there in the majority to do the things that need to be done. And it's not a lie, because as we break these cycles of problems that we have, we move forward as a society. So in my law practice and in that practice, I took a sabbatical from that about 25 months ago now. And I dedicated my efforts to getting Democrats elected throughout Texas. And I did that through the position of being the Texas Director of Voter Protection for President Obama. Also did the voter protection work. There wasn't that much to be done for Rick Noriega, who ran for Senate, but I was his voter protection lawyer, and I was his debate prep partner, so I was the fake John Cornyn, as he called me. Did a lot of work with a lot of different folks, including my friend Larry, my opponent in this race, working to get folks elected. And it was during that time that I was working hard to get Democrats elected, that elected officials and other Democrats came to me and began to talk to me about the idea of running for this race. And so after prayerful consideration and talking to my family, I decided to run for county judge. Now, there were several reasons why people wanted me to run. One is it's a redistricting year, and a voter protection lawyer overseeing redistricting in the second largest county in a state we're trying to turn blue is appealing to my fellow Democrats. The other reason is I've got a track record with government of being able to build consensus and move people forward. I was able to, I think that's the only area of healthcare, dentistry and nursing homes, the company that we own, that expanded under both Bush and Perry, because they were, as you know, CHIPS and on all of the other areas of healthcare had a really tough time with those folks. But we were able to build consensus and build bridges to those folks with our core support of every Democrat in the legislature for those programs. So after prayerful consideration, I decided to run for this job. I did it primarily for this reason, that in working for the Obama campaign, what I learned from the people that came in and volunteered, from Ron Kirk and the people that I worked with, is that people in America and in Dallas County are ready to try something fundamentally different. We're ready to try to move beyond all the factionalism and the mistrust that has held us back from achieving a more unified Dallas County and a more unified America, and we're ready to try to work together. I want to bring a spirit of unity because we face tremendous budgetary, environmental, and infrastructure challenges throughout Dallas County. We're going to meet and defeat those challenges by building a more unified Dallas County, one with better collaboration, more communication, and a mutual respect for the culture and the background and the orientation and the differences of all of our people.